Reinsurance rates rise on April 1 renewals. The ILO reports on microinsurance. A RIMS board member discusses the role of risk manager. And our own Brian Scott Smith packs for RIMS in Philadelphia. This and more, you're watching World Risk and Insurance News on RIN TV. Hello, I'm Manoush Samarodi, and here's what's happening in the world of insurance. April 1 is a significant date for reinsurance renewals, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, and shows how 2011 catastrophe losses affected rates. According to Guy Carpenter, rates generally rose on April 1 renewals, continuing a trend from January 1. Guy Carpenter says despite 2011 losses, the reinsurance sector has sufficient capital to support the Asia-Pacific region and the global property casualty insurance industry overall. Willis Re's renewal report says lower loss activity in the U.S. and international markets has resulted in a gradual improvement in rates. Despite prices moving higher, many reinsurers are not increasing their portfolios, focusing instead on underwriting volatility and conserving capital. Peter Hearn from Willis Re says reinsurers remain focused, taking a highly segmented and disciplined approach and not seeking to apply blanket rate increases. The UN's International Labor Organization has released its second compendium on microinsurance. The book reviews new trends and practices in this growing market. The last compendium was released 6 years ago, and much has changed, as you'll hear in this report from Craig Churchill, the team leader for ILO's Microinsurance Innovation Facility.
What microinsurance is doing is trying to build on some of the informal coping mechanisms that low-income households use already, and to formalize it, professionalize it, and to leverage the expertise of the private sector in doing so. And the reason why this is necessary is because insurance companies aren't going to be serving this market directly very effectively. It's very expensive to try to reach low-income people one by one. And so what we want to be able to do is to find ways of aggregating them, grouping them together in a way of serving groups of low-income people, because that's going to make it much more affordable for the market and viable from the insurer's perspective. The ILO's Microinsurance Innovation Facility has given out some 50 grants to organizations around the world to help them experiment with new approaches, new products, new delivery channels. It's really interesting to see how microinsurance has evolved. Most of the distribution of insurance to low-income households was through microfinance institutions, or it was done by community-based organizations. And one of the big changes that we're seeing now is a much more active involvement from insurance companies, and a much greater variety of distribution channels are being used. So they're reaching low-income households not just through MFIs, but through retailers, through utility companies, through churches, through cooperatives and unions. So because of that, people don't have to borrow money to access insurance. They can access insurance in a variety of different ways.
The compendium is co-published by the ILO and the Munich Re Foundation. For more information on microinsurance, visit our on-demand library. The annual RIMS conference and exhibition, hosted by the Risk and Insurance Management Society, starts this weekend in Philadelphia. For some insight into the issues facing today's risk manager, we sat down with Lori Seidenberg. She's a senior vice president in the Enterprise Risk Management Division of Centerline Capital Group, and also serves as a member of the RIMS Board of Directors.
Some of the major issues facing risk managers today are financial risk in the economy. Companies are trying to pay more attention to their balance sheet and how to protect their balance sheet. Obviously, first, supply chain. After the events of Japan last year, it showed that risk managers really needed to pay attention to their supply chain risk and their contingent business interruption. Cyber risk is very much on the forefront. With all the websites that are being hacked, it's showing that companies need to strengthen their cyber risk management to ensure that their customer data is protected. Regulation and legislation is playing a huge role in financial risk management these days. Technology has helped a risk manager do their job more effectively. There are tools out there that you can purchase, such as analytical software, that can help a risk manager understand their risk and interpret results more quickly. I also believe that people skills will be equally as important. risk managers are going to need to work with different individuals, and so not only do they need the appropriate analytical and computer skills, but they will need the people skills in order to work more effectively with other members of their organization to identify risk. There's huge concern in the industry today in risk management that we will be losing more risk managers through attrition and through retirement than we are taking in. It's very important for RIMS and other risk management society to go in and speak to the individuals that are graduating to show that the career path is there for risk managers, and there's so many things that can be done. RIMS also recently was certified by ANSI as an accredited standards organization, so we will be writing and focusing in on standards in the future to help the risk manager better understand the tools that they need to do their job more effectively.
If you'd like to see more of our interview with Lori Seidenberg, visit our on-demand library. You'll also find more reports about the RIMS conference and other risk management topics. And we invite you to stay tuned to World Risk and Insurance News for coverage from RIMS in Philadelphia. Our own Brian Scott Smith will be covering the event, and he's here now with a quick preview. Brian, tell us what's going to be going on.
Yes, Manoush, I'll be reporting from the RIMS conference in Philadelphia next week. I'm looking forward to covering the many activities planned by the Risk and Insurance Management Society. Attendees will have to choose from over 120 sessions covering a variety of hot topics. We've invited many of the session leaders on camera to share their insights with us. I'll also be visiting the exhibit hall and interviewing some of the key leaders in attendance. It should be a great conference. Manoush, it's back to you.
Thanks, Brian. We look forward to your reporting. Well, that's our program. I'm Manoush Samarodi in New York. Join us next time for more World Risk and Insurance News on RIN TV.